All right, today we're going to take a journey, a microscopic one, deep inside the human body. We're about to pull back the curtain on a hidden architectural plan, a blueprint that, you'll be surprised to find, connects organs you would never think are related. So let's get right into it. Now, this might sound a little wild, but organs that do completely different jobs. I mean, think about it. Digesting your dinner versus breathing air, they all share the exact same fundamental four-layer blueprint. And understanding this common structure, well, that's the key to understanding how they all work so well. So, let's actually take a look at that master plan. This blueprint is incredibly versatile. It's not just for the digestive system. Nope. It's the basic design you'll find all over the place. In our respiratory system, our urinary system, and even in parts of the reproductive system. Okay, so the wall of pretty much any hollow organ is built from four main layers. The fancy word for them is tunics, which basically just means coats. We're going to travel through them layer by layer, starting from the very inside, the tunica mucosa, and working our way all the way out to that protective outer layer. First up, we've got the innermost layer, the tunica mucosa. You can think of this as the front line. It's the surface that's directly interacting with whatever's passing through the organ, whether that's air, your lunch, or anything else. It's an incredibly active and important barrier. So here in this image, you can see the mucosa right up against that central empty space. That space is called the lumen. And notice how it's not just a flat surface, right? It's all folded and intricate. That complexity is a huge clue about everything it has to do. And just when you thought we had our first layer down, it turns out the mucosa is really a three-in-one deal. It's not just one thing. It's made up of three distinct sublayers, and each one has its own specific job to do. So these three parts are the epithelium, which is that very top surface, the lamina propria, which is the support structure right underneath, and then the lamina muscularis, which is a teeny tiny layer of muscle. Let's break them down one by one. The epithelium, that's the true surface layer. The type of cell it's made of is totally specialized for whatever that organ needs to do, like absorption in the gut or maybe protection in the esophagus. Right below it, you have the lamina propria. Think of this as the life support system. It's connective tissue that provides all the nutrition and is also home to important fibers and glands. And finally, at the base of the mucosa, we have the lamina muscularis. It's this very thin little strip of smooth muscle. Its job is pretty cool. It makes the surface of the mucosa move and fold all on its own, which helps shake things loose and squeeze secretions out of the local glands. What's interesting is, you don't actually find this little muscle layer in every single hollow organ. Okay, moving one layer out, we hit the tunica submucosa. So if the mucosa is the inner lining, you should think of the submucosa as all the plumbing and the wiring. It's the critical infrastructure that keeps that lining up and running. And you can really see that infrastructure in this picture. Just look at how this layer is packed with bigger things like glands and blood vessels. It has a much looser, more open look to it compared to that dense mucosa we just saw. So what's actually in here? Well, it's mostly loose connective tissue, which gives a flexible base for the big stuff. The blood vessels that feed the entire organ wall, some major glands, and a really important nerve network called Meissner's plexus, which helps control all the gland secretions. All right, on to layer number 3, the tunica muscularis. This is the engine room. This is the thick, powerful muscle layer that does all the heavy lifting, pushing everything along the tract in a process that we call peristalsis. And, you can see it right away. Look at the thickness of this layer. This is where the real power of the organ comes from. These dense bands of smooth muscle contract in these beautiful, coordinated ways to move things through the system. Now, what's really clever is how this muscle is set up. It's usually in two distinct layers. The inner layer is arranged in a tight circular coil, which basically squeezes the tube. And the outer layer is arranged longitudinally, so along the length of the tube, which shortens it. You get the two working together and boom, you've got this powerful wave-like motion. And tucked right in between those two muscle layers is another critical nerve network called the myenteric plexus. You can think of this as the brain of the muscle. It coordinates the contractions of both the circular and longitudinal layers to make sure that movement is smooth and super efficient. And here we are. We've made it through the wall to the fourth and final layer. This is the outer coat, and it acts as the organ's protective shell, its interface with the rest of the body. This outer coat is made of loose connective tissue, but it can have one of two names. If the organ is just hanging out inside a body cavity, like your stomach, it's covered by a slippery membrane, and we call it a tunica serosa. But if the organ is fixed to the structures around it, like parts of the esophagus, it doesn't have that covering, and we call it a tunica adventitia instead. And there you have it. The whole picture, from that intricate inner mucosa to the supportive submucosa, the powerful muscularis, and that final protective serosa. 4 totally distinct layers, each one with its own unique job, all working together perfectly to form one functional wall. It's just a really elegant and efficient piece of biological engineering. Think about it. Right now, as you're watching this whole complex, 4-layered structure is working away inside your body. And that brings up a really important question. In a system that's so integrated, what do you think happens when just one of these layers gets damaged or stops doing its job correctly?